All right, hello CrossFit Westchester. This is Steve, Coach Foos, and I'm sitting here with Brantlee. And she's given up her time. I really wanted to make this part of, we had a lot of people in the last video that we did, Member Spotlight, that's up on our YouTube channel. We'll shoot out a little clip on our social media about this. But I wanted to do some longer form kind of content, kind of like a podcast, kind of building off of some of the skills that I've been building and interviewing with the radio station and things. And really just to help connect our community. Just it's one more tool to help connect our community. So we did an interview with RJ and Mark Bayer, Dan Dennison, and I think that was it. Yeah. And so it was all the guys, and it really, what spawned this was that previous weekend before doing that was RJ had went and got his level 1, and I didn't know about him going to get his CrossFit level 1 certification, and I was like, oh, why did you do that? And then Mark Bayer had went before him. Now him and I had a conversation about him wanting to be a bigger part of the community, and of course you and Jen Cogliano, even months before that, have gotten your level 1. So it was all part of this conversation, and I thought, all right, I couldn't get everybody together at the same time. How about we do the guys, then we'll do the girls, and then of course summer comes along. Jen Cogliano likes to, you travel a lot, and then she spends her summers a majority of the time down at the Delaware beaches. So all that to say, you've just been doing some cool things, and you've been posting some things, and I just wanted to strike while the iron's hot.
Okay.
That was a lot, right?
Yeah.
All right, all that to say, so a little bit about you. Mm-hmm. You're Brantlee Underhill. You've been a member how long?
This is over 8 years.
8 years. Yeah. Wow, has it really been that long?
Yes.
Okay. So 8 years, and you were a yoga instructor. Mm-hmm. You did martial arts. You were a martial arts instructor before that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then in your day job, real job, whatever, you work for a company, and tell us a little bit about that.
It's called Project Management Institute, PMI.
That's a pretty big deal in the project management world, right?
Yeah, we set the standards and the certifications for project management. So if you work in the project management space and you've heard of the PMP, the Project Management Professional, that's my organization.
And what do you do there?
I am responsible for our community. My title is Chief Community Officer, so we have a community of millions of project professionals. And my job is to help that community grow, help them grow by connecting with one another and learning from one another. People are very motivated through that connection, through learning and giving back, like using their project management skills to make their communities a better place where they live and work.
Okay, well that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You share that in, I think, Nicole Carroll is the CrossFit HQ.
I love her. If I were to think of my counterpart at CrossFit, I think it would probably be Nicole.
Right.
Yeah.
I think her title is, last I heard, was like Chief Branding Officer.
Branding Officer, yes.
But really, I think it's much more along the lines of your title,
Nicole's,
but I wouldn't know.
Yeah, I mean, she advocates for the values of CrossFit, and that's built into the brand of it. Yes, and we got to see that this weekend. The CrossFit Games were amazing this past weekend.
Yeah, very cool. We can kind of touch on that maybe. But I really want to talk about you. All right, so you travel a lot for your work, and to a variety of countries. You share that through your Instagram, which is really kind of cool. I really enjoy that because I enjoy traveling, but I don't get a chance. I would like to travel a lot. I think a lot of people in their job get to travel, but they don't like it. And I always feel like you have a type of energy that's makes the best of things, right? Like we're making lemonade out of lemons. And that's a pretty good thing to have as somebody who is driving culture in a big community, right? Setting the standard, so to speak. So I appreciate that. What's really one of the things I kind of wanted to talk about was not just why you got your level 1, but I think you're a very inspiring person in our membership and in our community. And I don't just feel that way, I hear that from other people. And one of the things is, I mean, you've built a tremendous physique in the 8 years that you've been here. Like, you've gotten way stronger since you've started, and it looks good on you. Strength looks good on you. Because I think a lot of women, and can I ask how old you are?
I just turned 50.
Just turned 50.
Yeah.
Big 5-0. Woo! Awesome. And so I think, you know, you and I are close in the same age, and in that generation, I think there's some of that is societal, culture, generational stuff. It's like, you know, the time frame of, oh, I want to be skinny, you know, I call it the vodka and cigarette diet, which is like, you know, it's the joke of the 70s, like, oh, I'm going to starve myself and do aerobics. That type of thinking. You know, we're getting pounded with it all the time now, where, you know, Dr. Stacy Sims and Gabrielle Lyons and all these people, particularly women, are being like, no, you know, the age of Andrew Huberman and information and the internet, podcasts, and but science-backed research that says, hey, women need to strength train just as much as men. It's so important, not just for our physical health, for our mental health. I think everybody kind of gets that, but you're like a living example of that. It's really hard. I've had clients that I personally train, whether it's nutrition or fitness or some combination of the both, and one of the big hurdles and obstacles is training when you're traveling, right? Because now all of a sudden when you're at home and everything's perfect, we have our little routine. Some people can establish that, throw in their kids and all their events and jobs, and now I got to travel, now I got to find these places, and I'm so used to, you know, having my routine set up at home. So I think it's really important to build these habits in our travel. What do you think has been how have you been so successful with that?
Yeah, there's a lot in there.
There's a lot of pieces. Let's just
pick
pick the working out part.
The working out part while traveling. Well, I feel like I'm very lucky in that I'm wired to move. Like, my whole family, they don't sit still, right? So
I've met your family; they're very active.
My dad's 85. He's still outside working every day. So I know what my future looks like, and I want to maintain that mobility. But I'm just naturally wired to move. So with all the travel,
you don't like sitting still, meaning?
I don't. It's hard to sit still.
Okay.
Yeah, I force myself to do it. It's part of my practices. But with the travel, in order to do the type of travel I'm doing and the frequency, you have to be fit for it. Like, you have to be able to, like, move yourself through airports, be at the whim of whatever the airlines are doing, navigating yourself, planes, trains, automobiles, time zones, food that you might not necessarily like, but you got to try it. You also have to be, like, part of the community and be willing to try and experiment.
I was just gonna say, you're setting a tone for like, hey, we're all supposed to jump in here, but now I'm jumping into your thing. It's great when it's my thing.
So being fit for all of that is crucial to me being able to perform on my job, and so I take advantage of the hotel gym. Like, I always go scope it out day one. Go scope out the gym. What do they got in there? I got some dumbbells, kettlebells. I can do anything with that. In my hotel room, as long as there's a square, my typical hotel room workout, 10 minutes. 10-minute EMOM, 10 burpees on the minute. So who else could you say, like, is doing 100 burpees a day, and it only takes 10 minutes?
Yeah.
So I get sweaty at the end of that. I feel like something is better than nothing. So that's done. And I also scope out the CrossFit gyms in the area. So I have my process for looking at the CrossFit website, the Google Maps, triangulating where they are, can I walk there, and then just usually WhatsApping the gym, because outside the US, everyone uses WhatsApp.
That is, I have found that I have some international clients, you know, that were born and raised here, and WhatsApp, you know,
That's
and they
the
still
way to
travel.
communicate. Yep.
Yeah.
It's
Why
easy.
is that?
Because you don't have to pay for cell text messaging.
Oh, okay.
So
That's probably
that's
the big
why,
reason.
like, when people come to the US, they're always like, what's the wireless code? Like, what's the Wi-Fi code?
Yeah.
You know, because they're using their communications through Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
So WhatsApp enables you to do that,
Okay.
and that's usually the way the gyms communicate. So
Plus, I think it's the encryption. They're not. It's not. It's as shared as some of our things here.
Yes, it could be.
Okay.
Yeah. So then I scope out the gyms and usually make it a point to drop into a CrossFit gym. It's pretty easy to do.
Yeah.
Sometimes I go and I almost never know the workout, so I just always have to be ready for the unknowable. And then
There's a theme, huh?
and sometimes it's not in English, so I'm following along, or the coach is kind of whispering in my ear while he's coaching, she's coaching in local language. So
okay.
it's a lot of fun. Oh, and the kilos, the kilos to pounds conversion always gets me, and I always go heavier than I need to.
They're like, whoa, okay.
Usually I'm like, oh my God, what did I just do?
Yeah. Yeah, I still kind of struggle with that because it's not so easy as doubling.
Yeah.
You know, it's that 0.2 that gets you, right?
Yeah.
And that can add up,
Mm-hmm.
especially when we're going with some tricky movements. Awesome. I love the hotel thing. Many of my clients that I've coached outside of CrossFit Westchester here, it's that, and when we did Zoom, during the pandemic, those 2020, it's like, hey, how big is our mat space? A rubber
Mm-hmm.
mat here is 4x6.
Mm-hmm.
What can you do in a 4x6 foot space? And you can get a lot of good fitness in. And
Mm-hmm.
one of my favorite guys, now I can't think of it, who does CrossFit Linchpin? Pat Sherwood. Pat Sherwood, old school CrossFit OG. I love some of his expressions of things are like, you can get some good fitness in. I think he says that a lot with things. Fitness is achieved.
Mm-hmm.
It's simple and effective things. All right, so making things a habit, sticking on a schedule. Do you have a certain schedule you stick to? Is there like certain days on versus days off? Are you doing extra work?
You mean in the gym?
Yeah, like typically, do you have like is there?
I usually kind of wake up, like I have a plan. I always have a plan for the next day or the week, but I also just kind of take stock of how I feel in the morning when I wake up. And if I don't feel like I can come in here and do a good job with my movement, then I put the ruck on and I go rucking instead.
Yeah. So
or maybe just take a nap. I don't know, it could be either, but usually I will do something to get in my fitness for the day.
Yeah, okay. Do you ever feel like, oh no, I didn't do anything today and that's like weighing on me that I didn't?
Sometimes, yeah. Or I think like if that one day turns into 2 days, turns into 3 days, I'm like, like there's a trend developing here. And the same thing happens when I come back to the gym. It's like, okay, if I'm not like ripping off like what I normally do, I'm like, will I ever get that back? And so there's always a bit of a fear looming, like maybe I'll never be fit as I was last month or 6 months ago.
Yeah.
But I find that's just kind of, it's not really real, it's not true, because even at my age and what I'm doing, I'm still having PRs in the gym and still doing things I've never done.
Yeah.
So it might not be the heaviest squat or the heaviest deadlift, but it might be a 5 or 10 rep max, or it might, like Saturday I climbed the pegboard. So it's doing things
awesome.
that are like new skills and new capabilities that are always being built. So
Strength carryover.
Mm-hmm.
And that's another thing, the aspect of your fitness that I really like, CrossFit was always, to me, was a way to stay fit for my job at the time when I worked in corrections.
Mm-hmm.
And but being able to do fun stuff, the longevity of it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because as CrossFit the sport had developed alongside of CrossFit Westchester here, this business, I think some people, not maybe here, but like other, CrossFit in the broader community kind of missed that part. And where it's like, you would hear, in the past few years, you would hear a lot of CrossFit athletes that pursued CrossFit as a sport, where they're like, oh, well, now that I'm 35, I realize that, well, right, you can't, you're not training 2-a-days, and this competitive part, what it looked like versus CrossFit for the average person,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And I always wanted to, I like the efficiency of not spending, I like working out, but spending too much time in the gym can, be a hassle. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's an efficiency thing, especially
Mm-hmm.
when you have kids, etc. And then the functionality, right?
Mm-hmm.
I want to do stuff. Would I like to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger at some point, as a young man? That, that was the generation,
Right.
It's like the muscle magazines and things.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but what can I do with it? Like
Mm-hmm.
I've met a lot of guys that could bench press, at my job when I worked in corrections, like, 300 pounds or more, but couldn't do a pull-up or couldn't run a mile. It looked strong, but, that's great. But if you're coming to help me, you can be as strong as a gorilla, but if you're out of breath, like that's not helping me.
Yeah.
So that taught me a lot about having different layers of fitness. And so I know you're a climber.
Yeah, I got into climbing about 10 years ago. At that time I was not doing CrossFit, but I did a lot of hiking, rucking, learning to go uphill. I was primarily doing yoga at the time, which was also really great for mountain climbing.
Yeah.
But the longer... balance.
Like, get your foot up there.
Gotta get your foot up there. You gotta maintain balance, especially when you're walking over glaciers and your
body awareness. Right?
Yeah, total body perception. And then as I got more and more onto the rock and carrying stuff on my back and getting into CrossFit, I was like, "Ooh, this is like huge." For me developing the strength and the confidence. Like, I feel like I don't have to worry so much about my body and physicality when I'm out there because I do this here.
Yeah.
There's a lot of other things to be worried about, but the physical development and preparation usually is not a big worry for me because I'm in here most days of the week.
Yeah, I think that's, I call that putting money in the bank, right? Like, am I moving this weight around? Am I being uncomfortable and trying hard things in my workout because I want to look good or because it makes me feel good? Or is it more about, if I know I can handle it here, I know when the expletive hits the fan, whatever that may be, that I have more confidence going into that, right?
Yeah.
Like moving through my world, having to traverse a distance or handle, being hot or whatever those things are. Michael Esther, he's this guy.
I just listened to a podcast with him.
He has some great things. He wrote the Comfort Crisis, and he has like the 2%er podcast, I think. He talks a lot about societally how, and we were supposed to, right? From an evolutionary perspective, it made sense as a hunter-gatherer society to be like, well, where's the most food, where is it easier to get, because you were literally at some point in our history risking your life to eat, right, or protect your stuff, yourself.
Well, and he also talks about doing hard things so that when we move through daily life, it's not so hard.
Right. The more you lean into comfort, then these little things that are uncomfortable, it's like a pain tolerance to the uncomfortable. And so I see that a lot generationally through various ages that come across the gym. I see that.
Well, one of the things you and I talked about years ago was the hanging challenge. Like, spend the month of January hanging. Accumulate 7 minutes of hangs. So I've done that for the past 3 Januaries. It's always good just to be able to test yourself on hanging.
Like a good reset, right?
Hanging on different implements, the bars, the rings, the balls, a towel, the rope. And I selfishly do that for the climbing.
Sure.
But what I notice is the carryover into everything else, like being able to grip a deadlift bar or, being able to do more pull-ups. It's just amazing that something so simple can transfer into every other movement. Even though you're like, okay, I'm doing this for climbing, but it's like, no, actually, it's strengthening your whole foundation.
Yeah. And that's one of the things I loved about CrossFit was this broad carryover, right? The movement we do over here, I'm not just trying to get good at the test. I'm doing this movement and that helps my capacity in a very similar movement pattern. And I like that, right? It's one of those things where without squatting, my squat gets better kind of idea. Like all of a sudden, like, wow, I wasn't even really, I missed a lot of squat days, but because I did this other work that we sneak in, and that's the magic of the methodology, right? So that's cool. That's cool to hear. Get that feedback. All right, so we talked about your job a little bit. You're a mom and wife. How has CrossFit affected family life, if at all? Maybe it has.
Oh, well, I have my son and husband also doing their own things.
Yeah,
So,
they're working out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my son, he's 13. He likes to spend a lot of time on the Xbox. He wants to buy things on the Xbox. So if he wants to buy something, he has to construct a workout for a certain amount of days. So that's
Okay.
the trade-off. So we're usually doing workouts together to help fund his Xbox obsession.
Yeah.
But then getting out on the bike, we have a little workout area at home that we spend time in. My husband has a workout partner that he's doing things with. So yeah, we're all doing it.
Yeah. Sometimes that gets in the way. I've seen that happen where somebody has decided to invest in themselves,
Mhm.
and then all of a sudden the other person isn't there, right? And it almost feels like somebody's pulling away, even when they're not pulling away. They're just like, hey, I'm just investing in me.
Or even habits change, right? Like maybe the way you eat,
Yeah.
or you don't go out to eat as much.
Well,
or,
it kind of, it's like a spill. It kind of
Yeah.
spreads out like, hey, listen, I got to work out tomorrow, so I don't want to stay up late,
Exactly.
watching TV
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
snacking or whatever the thing. Or, hey, I don't want to drink as much
Mm-hmm.
because I know that, I've been paying attention to my health.
Mm-hmm.
Have you had any obstacles with that in your family life at all?
I think it's there, but we manage it.
Yeah.
Usually I have my own meals that I'm making.
Okay.
I share, but not everyone wants to eat what I'm eating,
Sure.
so it's okay. Yeah, my husband and I love to go grab a beer now and then. I'm just gonna stick to one beer, maybe 1.5. But it's
Yeah.
making sure that we kind of manage that. I express I don't really want to sit here all afternoon and drink beer. I know you do, but I'll sit here and I'll drink my little beers.
We're not telling on you, Corey.
We'll drink a little beers as we go through the afternoon. So we're still spending the time together,
Yeah.
socializing, enjoying each other, enjoying what we
Yeah.
like to do, but also kind of respecting our spaces of preferences of I want to drink, I don't want to drink as much.
Yeah. And I think it's in managing the expectation. Probably this lends it back to your yoga training and of course martial art training, because I did martial arts for a long time too. It's this idea of mindfulness. That word is just thrown around. It's almost like carelessly now, but it's an awareness, right? It's awareness of where I'm at, where you may be being a little more in tune with where you could be at, with empathy and things, and then being like, oh, okay, so I see this trend happening. If you have this, you've worked out this awareness muscle, you're going to be better at picking that things up. I think that's a big struggle for a lot of people, is their awareness is so off because we have all this noise and we're not setting maybe some, able to compartmentalize that stuff off, and it leaks in, and you'll see people that when they're having a bad workout, and it's because they came from a crappy day, they didn't leave their day at the door.
Yeah,
And,
there's another yoga principle. It's called detachment. We call it aparigraha in Sanskrit.
Okay.
But detachment of being able to remove yourself from the
judgment of things.
The judgment, the outcome.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think it comes off as not caring, but if you can learn not to be so attached to things and maybe remove a bit of the disappointment that you might feel hey, I'm gonna come in here and I'm gonna wreck this workout today, but instead it wrecked me, and then you go home feeling like total crap, right? And it's well, what is the good that came out of the workout today? You showed up, you did the thing, hey, it was a win. So I think if we can also learn to separate ourselves from expectations, then maybe we can live a more peaceful life and not be so hard on ourselves. Give ourselves some grace now and then.
Yeah, I think there's a couple thoughts that come with that. Is trust the process is a version of that, right? I come in here, CrossFit Westchester does this programming, I'm going to trust it that I am going to get fitter. I have found that funny, and Jenny, Coach Jenny here, we've often had these conversations where somebody gets to a certain level and then they think they're almost too good for our programming, and then they start doing other things. And it's really kind of funny because it's well, did you forget what got you to where you were at? And it was in this process of the programming and things that we offer to people. And I love Greg Glassman saying where it's like, hey, you learn these basics and then go back and relearn them, but paying more attention. So sometimes that gets pushed where it's like, oh, I need to go heavier, go harder, when really what we need to do is maybe fold back, come back full circle and go, oh, I need to improve the quality of my movement.
White belt mind.
White belt mind, right, emptying the cup. And I think there's lots of different terms for that. That detachment reminds me of like what stoicism is, you know what I mean? Like, hey, am I having a bad day, or am I just thinking I'm having a bad day and that's making me feel like I'm having a bad day? Yeah, I see that a lot. There's a huge mental side to CrossFit that I absolutely love, and I think it's pieces of that. And because you had you came in with some awareness fitness, mindfulness fitness, that makes the journey for you that much smoother, because you already had that carries you very far, right? The body follows the mind kind of stuff. All right, so we covered that. One of the things I saw you've been, well, let's get to the L1.
Yeah.
Let's go to that, and then maybe we'll see what we have time for.
So why did I do the L1?
Yeah, so you were here, and how long, you've been with us 8 years, how far into your journey did you go, you know what, I want to go get my level 1?
Gee, I don't know if there was a particular time, though. Maybe about like after a year and a half or 2 years here, I started working with nutritionist Amy McGuire.
Yeah.
And that was really eye-opening. It was exciting to work with her because I said, I want to put on muscle. And she's like, oh, this is awesome, because a lot of times people want to lose weight, and if I get to help someone put on weight.
I can tell you, like, working with a woman and having them say, I want to, take up space, get strong, is like a dream. Yeah. Because so often we hear people, particularly women, who want to shrink. I want to be smaller, I want to be, and is this weird, I don't even want to say weird, but it's something that's in them that if I'm smaller or skinnier or look a certain way, I have more value, which is, CrossFit, I think, has busted down that door in a big deal, because our aesthetic, how we look, arguably we have a lot of fit looking people, and then I run across some people that maybe at first glance, judge a book by its cover, don't look so fit, but what can they do? And it's always like, wow, okay, right? And so CrossFit as a program has always been about what can you do. Yeah, and nutrition is really the foundation to fueling that performance and the aesthetic, I believe. So, well, I think everybody knows what athletic looks like, right? Like if we were to put 10 pictures on the wall, and of course this has gotten a lot of crap in media and social media. Right? Body positivity gone like far to an end of, like, I'd call it toxic positivity. There's just not a thing that goes along with certain things. They don't, 1 and 1 don't equal 2 in that, when you push the envelope in that direction. And I mean that to say, like, nobody stands on a podium because they have a six-pack, right? It is how they look is a byproduct of their training, which is including their recovery, their sleep, and their eating, and their nutrition. And maybe chemical help along the way. We have to be, like, aware of all that. It took us a long time to talk about those things because, and I say this, I've said this many times, it's easy to hand somebody a workout and it whoops your rear end and you go, oh, I should be able to do that? Okay. And I hand you a healthy meal. If I put 10 meals in front of you and said, pick out the healthy meal, you're probably going to do a pretty good job. 80%, you're going to get definitely a B. But it's not going to create that same immediate impact. And boy, isn't that like a metaphor for life, right? The trusting the process and being patient. So going back to that, So you started working with Amy.
Yeah. So
wanted to get strong.
Yeah, and just
Right?
like
And
I said,
nutrition was a huge part of that, right?
Huge part of it. Trusting the process. I learned so much. We could probably do a whole podcast on nutrition and what I learned from that in CrossFit.
Maybe we will.
But it did definitely improve my performance. I got a lot stronger. I had less injury. I enjoyed being here anyway, but I just enjoyed it even more. It was like I wanted to put in more work because I was eating more. And
well, it probably gave you more energy, so you weren't feeling like I'm dragging to win. I finished the workout.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
I can recover faster, etc.
So, after learning that, I also very much enjoy watching the CrossFit Games and the athletes and just kind of thinking about what they go through, but also what their longevity will be like, and then what's it like for the normal gym goer. Who just wants to stay mobile. Like I said, I'm wired to move. I watch my parents. I want to be able to continue to move seamlessly through the rest of my life. And I have if you ever done any of those strength finder tests, kind of tell you what your strengths are.
Yeah.
My number one is learning. And so I have a learning disposition, and I thought this would be a very good opportunity just to continue learning deeper about the methodology of CrossFit. And I wasn't really thinking about I want to be a coach one day, but I thought I could probably learn enough and develop confidence to be able to share that with others. So I've been thinking about it for a while, and then just a great opportunity opened up last year, close to home. CrossFit Westchester or CrossFit King of Prussia hosted the L1.
They do a lot of those down there.
They do a lot of those. I think they do them every 6 months, so you can go in person. I'm glad I did that.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. Met other people. Was great coaching. Fantastic experience, and I think I just want to continue developing my coaching depth, and maybe go for the L2.
Good. That's cool. Yeah, there's been a few, if you go, Greg Glassman has started this whole new thing called MetFix, and I think he has archived all his original journal articles that were CrossFit Journal articles, which when I found CrossFit, I loved. I loved reading those articles and nerding out about things, and it gave me a great foundation of understanding. And I come from this background of the deeper your understanding of something, the simpler you can make it. And sometimes, I'm a chatty Cathy, which is why we're doing this, and I can be, over explain things maybe, and it's only because I'm so passionate. I love it, right? And the understanding of things. So I think that's cool, that people maybe go and get their level 1 and just to deepen their understanding of, and that's what most of the guys said, was it deepened their understanding of why we might be programming the way we're programmed. Because you don't really get into our heads that hard and go, some gyms will put out a month of their programming ahead of time. I would like to see us do that at some point, maybe. For a variety of reasons, but and I'm biased. I come here, so I love the programming, but I often hear people coming here for a drop-in or coming to this gym from another gym and also really praise the programming here at CrossFit Westchester. We've always done our own programming here. I'm not really involved in that anymore, but it's just too many chefs sometimes can spoil the soup.
But that was a very fun part of the L1. We spent Sunday morning talking about how the programming works, all the different elements, the time domains, the glycolytic type of reaction that you get from doing a sprint versus an endurance workout, and all the movements, the monostructural, etc. It's a lot of fun being able to put all those pieces of the puzzle together.
And some people nerd out on programming. They really love that part of it, and I think that can be very fun. And I've done that on the individual basis. I enjoy that much more, and I think it's because it's more in depth, right? And I'm just one person, and they want a very specific thing, whether it's weight loss or performance or a skill thing. So I enjoy that part of things. It's like a mechanics work to me. What where's the low-hanging fruit, what needs to be fixed, what can make the most impact, and I just have an analytical eye in that way, where programming for a mass is not as fun for me. But yeah, so awesome on the L1, and you think you might do more stuff.
Yeah, I think I want to continue the learning journey.
Okay, yeah, I think that's cool. You are a learner. I mean, you know, in our conversations, I mean, just, you know, if there's another course I'm doing, she's like, oh, what did it do? And I'm like, I like to learn. I like to learn, you know, I like to learn about different things. So, so there's that. And now you are a coach here.
Yeah,
we brought you on the coaching team. You were doing yoga for us for quite some time, online and Sundays.
Yeah, Sundays after endurance.
And now we've kind of brought you into the coaching team. I think it's important that we have some kind of bench strength to bring people in, and people that want to, the people that want to coach, and people that I knew, you know, teaching martial arts, teaching yoga. I knew you already had that in there, and then of course, you know, your corporate job. Of course, there's sharing, presenting, talking in front of people. I mean, you kind of had it all in there. It was like, all right, here's just some ancillary things that we needed to kind of go over. So, what else was I going to ask you? I wanted to get into some of the more recent things. We'll kind of wrap up with this because I want to be mindful of your time. Is you are 50.
Yeah.
And man, what's the hot button that we're hearing now with women?
Perimenopause.
Perimenopause and
talk
menopause.
about it.
I don't know if I shared it. I spoke to a guy, Eric Reitmeyer. He works with Life Med Institute.
Okay.
He is their business growth officer or something like that. He does a lot of speaking. He's written 2 books. One of them is, he has like a little trademark thing called the Menopausal Marine, because Life Med Institute is one of these growing in the health industry. I call it like boutique therapy places that you go. You know, it's not the doctor's office, but they have medical professionals working there, and they're going to look at genetic testing, blood work, and where are you maybe need some help with nutritional or hormone things like peptides are coming more and more onto the scene, and I think that one of the big things is, right, we all age, we're gonna die, that's just how it is so far, but what can we do to keep our quality of life? Because, you know, hey, we're 50 and we're still PRing, and maybe I want to keep that train rolling. So what are some of the struggles that you've had personally when it comes to?
Well, hormones play a role in all stages of life, you know, so it's not like you just hit a certain age and now you have a hormonal problem. Like, we have to manage our hormones every day with what we eat, how we behave, how we sleep.
That's a really good point. And I think it's because we just think like, oh no, I'm like, you know, 20 something. You can get away with a lot when you're younger because things are pumping up, you know, but I see societally this flux where people aren't as active, they're not eating as good, you know, and exercise isn't as important. And, you know, we have an obesity epidemic in our country, and we have a mental health epidemic. And I think those things are interrelated. And I think if you don't read the research, if you aren't looking at those things, you're not making yourself available to that. So it's like, what do we need to be doing? All right, so
so just being aware that hormones do play a role in our daily life, no matter what age we are. But for me personally, about a year and a half ago, like, my monthly cycle all of a sudden wasn't so clockwork, and I'm a clockwork person, right? Everything, like, I'm doing the things, everything's
goes
working.
back to some of that awareness, right?
Yes.
Like knowing your body and being like, because I've met women that I've coached like nutritionally and fitness wise, and they'll be like, oh yeah, like I poop like every 3 days. I'm like, what? Like, oh yeah, my menstrual cycles never, you know, they're in their 30s. It's never been regular. Or they just, you know, they go with the easy answer, which is they go to the doctor and they get on some type of hormone therapy, which is birth control. And they're like, oh yeah. And I'm like, you've been on birth control for like 40 years? Like, do you think that's, you know, without deeper diving into the why.
Yes.
So, all right.
Yeah, so like really paying attention to yourself and knowing how your body works. My body all of a sudden started to go through some change, so I started listening to some podcasts to try to understand what was going on. And I come to learn that perimenopause can begin for women as early as their late 30s.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy shit, because here I am, I'm like on the cusp of 50, and I'm just starting to experience symptoms. And meanwhile, women for the past, like, I could have been experiencing this for the past decade.
And just
fortunately,
feeling like crap.
fortunately, I wasn't. But now I look back and I'm like, well, you know, was that a perimenopause symptom, or was that just like, you know, pandemic symptom? Like, who knows? You don't know.
Yeah.
And the more that women start talking about their symptoms, they get brushed aside. Like, oh, it's, you know, it's this, it's that, and no one's really saying like,
They want to shuttle it in a box.
this could be a
rather than-
perimenopause symptom, and here's how to manage through it.
Yeah.
So I'm also very interested in understanding, because I've taken care of myself through CrossFit and nutrition. Like, is there a way that we should be paying attention to this change in life for what we do? Because if I go to a doctor's office, and I have done that, and they're not always very clear about like what they should or shouldn't give to you. Like, should you take hormone replacement therapy or not? Like, there's no clear answer. You kind of got to figure these things out for yourself by knowing yourself and making these decisions for yourself. But if you are someone who is fit and eating well, will we experience symptoms less? I mean, the research that I'm reading says yes, if you stay active, vigorous and moderate activity, you know, 3 to 5 times a week, you could probably stave off some of the symptoms that you would experience.
Isn't that a testament that our bodies need movement?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
we, like, to function as just a normal human being,
Mm-hmm.
we are meant to be moving around in our day.
Mhm.
And that's where we hear these things, the step count, which is, there's some basis of, you know, study and scientific backing in there.
Mm-hmm.
But it really just comes down to this thing, like, we're animals that were meant to move.
Mm-hmm.
And whether you're and I see that as a sticking point for people, because they are so sedentary. They come in here, they work out hard for an hour, but they are really treading water, right? And we go back to CrossFit in level 1, and we go over the sickness to wellness curve, right? It's like sickness is over here,
Yeah.
wellness is here,
Yeah.
which is I'm just not sick. And then over
Yeah.
here is fitness, right?
Yeah.
And the closer we get that dial towards
Mhm.
fitness,
Mm-hmm.
then we can have these whoopses and, you know, sicknesses or, you know, discrepancies of health, and it's not going to affect us. But if that needle is here or
Yeah.
closer to sickness, you're closer to being sick.
Yeah, being on that fitness side, you're building your bank. So when you don't have the great days,
That's a
you're
great way
you're
to put it.
borrowing from that bank. You know, but you can, if you over borrow, you're gonna fall backwards.
At
So
some point,
you-
somebody's coming to collect.
Yes,
Yeah.
you have to keep filling up that bank to stay on the fitness side, and that means getting the walks in, coming into the gym and lifting heavy stuff, finding ways to relax and de-stress. It's just as
And recovery,
important.
huge.
Yeah, recovery, but also mental relaxation, however that works for you. So, you know, I think there's some great people out there talking about it. You mentioned Stacey Sims and Gabrielle Lyons, the importance of eating protein, the importance of just being able to manage through some of the symptoms like brain fog and hot flashes, and there's ways to treat that. It's not going to go away, but we can probably make
Managing it, yeah,
easier to manage.
it's
Yeah.
it's an important thing. Yeah. What has been so besides just, you know, watching what, you know,
Mhm.
keeping on top of your nutrition
Mm-hmm.
and fitness, is there anything else that you're doing?
Anything else that I'm doing?
Like, what are some of the symptoms you've had? Let's talk about that.
Anxiety,
Yeah, you're-
depression, usually like emotional roller coaster, not normal for me, moodiness. So way I kind of soothe that is being outdoors. Outdoors is very soothing for me, so that's why I prefer to do as much as I can outdoors. Why I do a lot of rucking, actually, because I can get out onto a trail, be in nature. I find that very relaxing.
I think it's huge, man.
Mm-hmm.
3-day effect. There's a book out there called The 3-Day Effect.
Yeah.
It's a real thing.
And sometimes vertigo, like a dizziness.
Oh.
Like even today we did the handstand push-ups. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, let's go upside down. Let's see how it's gonna feel today. It's like, okay, it's good, you know. So that's also very weird in how it shows up or doesn't show up.
Yeah.
And I don't get hot flashes. I say I get heat flushes. You know, like I don't sweat through my clothes, but I feel surges of heat.
Okay.
Regularly, especially at night when I'm sleeping, and sometimes during the day. And I love the heat. Like I love heat and humidity.
Yeah.
But I've noticed a little bit more sensitivity to it than usual. So that might also affect my choices of how I choose to do fitness that day.
Yeah. I think it's really important, you know, as a man at 55 and knowing one, how I'm interacting with clients.
Mm-hmm.
There was a time, you know, when I remember particularly this one woman who was a member here, and it would be winter out, and she would be like, "Can we turn on the fans?" And like 2 minutes previous, everybody was complaining about, you know, when you first open up the gym here in the morning in the winter, you taking off the chill of things is, you know, it takes a while.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we warm up, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it was like we weren't like, "Can we open the door?" And I'm like, "No, I am not opening a garage door." And it was never expressed to me, and never crossed my mind to ask or think.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, "What is going on?" And then it was like, "Well, she's having like a hot flash." And I'm like, "Oh, duh, right." Like she literally just went outside and was like working out.
Yeah.
And I was like, "I'll keep like this personnel door open, but I'm not going to open up the garage door."
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have anyway, but
Yeah.
I would have, my language would have been a little bit
A
different.
little more sensitive.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
but there would be these moments where I see them making a beeline to like flick on the fan, and I'm like, it's like 50 degrees out, and they're like, they look at you,
Mm-hmm.
red faced, and they're like, "Shut up, I'll kill you."
Well, yeah,
And
I
I'm
mean,
like,
that's,
"Whoa."
that's the hormone surging and like the moodiness. I a couple other symptoms that I haven't experienced but are pretty common when women my age are going through this is the brain fog, so just the fuzziness,
Yeah.
you know, the lack of energy, and it can show up in a lot of different ways that I don't know that there's a full comprehensive list, but those tend to be the most standard set of symptoms.
I think that's one of the biggest things is, you know, you can have a day where I've had many days where I don't feel like working out, but going, I fall into these slumps of things where I'm really, you know.
And they talk about menopause too, so I think, you know, the
like
hormonal shifts are not related just to women, right?
As men, but I think that we could really dive deep on this, but this would be outside of the context of CrossFit Westchester, probably what people are interested in. But I do find it really interesting that, you know, we both produce testosterone and estrogen just in different levels, and, you know, we have different things, needs for that, and what that looks like. But like as women age, and estrogen goes down, and as men age, testosterone goes down, and it kind of like, it takes a man who's like, when he needs to be, you know, he's at his prime for procreating and putting on the species and protecting and hunting and killing, you know, I'm talking like from an evolutionary perspective. And then when we get to an age where, hey, I wouldn't be the best hunter or the best protector, what would my duties be? And it kind of falls back into a softening of man. You know, you hear lots of terms, divine masculinity and feminine, you know, the kind of woo-woo stuff. But I like that stuff. But because I think these things happen, and then it's like, oh, well, in a life cycle, like that actually, you know, I think there's this trend out there where it's like, no, stay aggressive, but you're not evolving that way. Like you can still be strong and tough and all those things and hard. Like that's still in you, right? The warrior is still in there.
I mean, it's probably true of men too.
But like to be a parent, right? Do I want to be this parent? And I was in my 20s. My oldest son could attest to that. That I was this hard-edged, you know, like, you know, we'll just say David Goggins type, like, you know, harden up, right? I mean, you need that as a parenting perspective a little bit. If you have a balance of, which I didn't for large periods of my parenting. I didn't have a partner that we were working together, it kept that balance of, hey, there's the nurturer, and here's the the toughener kind of thing.
Yeah, you need that as a parent, but also for yourself, because it's probably your middle years are where you're working the hardest. So you're in your prime, your body's in the prime. It's probably where you have the opportunity to like bank away a lot of money, bank away your money. Yeah. But like you can't continue that way into the later years. You will literally burn yourself out. You will fry yourself out, and you will see that show up in your body. And it could be like because you're like burning up. You have skin inflammation. Who knows? It could be like anything.
Lots of ways. Your body,
it will fry itself out.
When you're unhealthy mentally and physically, I think they're so tied together.
Yeah.
And we're so quick to then go, let's treat it with some type of pharmacology rather than.
Get out in nature, go breathe, meditate, slow down, get on a bike.
And I think that's a testament to CrossFit, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, do I need this super fancy program, or can I come in here and do the workout of the day, trust this process, trust that, people that have been doing this a lot longer. I always say that when somebody's like kind of complains about programming, I'm like, oh, right, because before you came here, you did such a good job of getting you in shape, right? Because all the information's out there, but is it accountability? Is it the community that brings you in? And giving up some of that a little bit to somebody else to manage for you is kind of nice, because I think we have so much to manage in our personal lives. But it's the simplicity of things, right? That oftentimes we are sold. If I'm trying to sell you something, I make it more complex, right? Like, oh, this is a really fancy thing, but I've got the answer. And I see that a lot in the fitness industry, when it's really like, hey, do 10 minutes of burpees and tell me where your fitness is at, because you're getting up off the ground, maybe you're doing a little jumping in there, like, so I don't need to do 3 different things. I'm doing a burpee, it covers a lot of ground. A lot of people hate it.
It's not sexy stuff.
Not
you can make it sexy, but I mean, it's pretty simple stuff.
Simple but effective, right? Awesome. What would you tell anybody if they're like a member here and they've thought about getting their CrossFit Level 1?
Oh, I'd say go for it, because you can actually access all the Level 1 materials online. They make it free on the website, so you can read the manual, which I did before I went to the training.
Smart.
But going into the training and being with other people and like seeing the coaches do the things and cover the wide array of material was really enlightening. I enjoyed it so much.
They do a great job of disseminating a huge amount of information
in 2 days.
You really do get a lot of stuff.
Like there's 9 foundational movements. They demo all the movements. You go through a workout, 2 workouts, demonstrating a series of those movements. We got to practice the ring muscle up. We went through the whole nutrition session, the programming session. We talked about some of the disease and afflictions that people are faced with because they don't have proper nutrition or fitness.
Chronic disease, right?
Chronic disease.
Obesity and all the things that come with it.
And they did a really nice job hosting a little happy hour at the end of the first day, and just being able to relax and chat with one another, and people came from all over the place, so it was cool to expand the network. And talk about CrossFit, because that's what we love to do.
Right. And it's, I think people find that so weird, and that's one of the things whenever somebody comes in for a No Sweat intro, and I say, how many of your friends have like hounded you to come to their gym to work out, to come do this workout? It's really cool. You're good. It's really good. They're like, well, like never. I'm like, well, right. My people do it. You know what I mean? It's so funny. Some people, it's such a sacred space for them that I've seen members where they don't tell their friends, because they're like, no, this is my thing. They're selfish with it. They're like, no, this is my secret sauce. You go do your crap over there. I've seen that a couple times, and it always kind of, I'm like, no, we're trying to pay some bills here. Bring your friends in. So there's that.
Well, that same dialogue's going on in CrossFit right now too, right? Because CrossFit's been changing. It's changed a lot over the last 5 years, but we want it to grow.
I think from when you say that, I want to make sure we're being clear. Like from a headquarters, like there's a company.
Oh, the company's
CrossFit
changed
HQ,
a lot. Yes.
And then we are just an affiliate, so there are some rules that we have to kind of play by, but not really.
Right.
I mean, that was always the model that Greg Glassman set up. It's like you can use the name, you have to go through our training, and then whatever version of that, what that looks like in your space, we're good to go. That's changed a little bit over the years, that part of it as an affiliate. But what you're talking about is CrossFit as a space, the sport, what's that look like, how they interact. I mean, they've really come in the past couple years. Like when we first started in 2009, it was like the Wild West. They were like, all right, cool.
Do your own thing.
See you later. You didn't really hear much, right? But also we didn't get a lot of support. And then over the years, as the growth of CrossFit the sport came around, I saw support as far as storytelling, which was huge. Social media and the internet were growing and growing. And I think that was one of the things I liked watching the games this year, was I saw a lot more storytelling that was going on because that's what we need. Like I'm not a $1 million marketer, but you have, you're a big company, you have a big reach, and of course, you get some really bright people working for you.
Yeah, I mean, when you just look at this, like you take the United States, people are getting unhealthier every day, and more and more people have diabetes. That's something that we talk about in the level 1 training. And what's the cure for that?
With the most advanced medical stuff.
Yes.
Why are
we're
we
in a
sicker?
first world country, but here we are. Why do we do CrossFit? Well, it's to help eradicate disease. It's to get people healthier. And we're not the only ones with that solution. There are many other fitness organizations out there trying
Lots
to
of ways
grab
to
the
skin
attention.
the fitness cat.
Yeah, and trying to get you there as fast as possible, as easy as possible.
Yeah.
You see the rise of the GLP-1s and the Ozempics, and if they work for people, great. But nothing's ever going to replace the movement and the nutrition. And when you come into the CrossFit affiliate, like this is home, right? This is like the place that you can go that you're going to get the right thing. You just need to put in the work and
You gotta show up.
Show up
Step
for yourself.
one.
Yep.
Yeah.
Show up for yourself, and the rest will take care of itself.
Yeah. I think in the progress, something that I've been telling people as their newer members is get in the habit of showing up first before you worry about an outcome. We're such an outcome-based society. Like, I do this, what do I get for it? What's in it for me? And just in showing up, you will see that without focusing on how well am I doing, because it's a lifelong pursuit for sure. There's always you're always going to go back and then pursue this mastery of movement, right? I think that's a thing. People that, especially when they're here for a long time, they kind of taken it for granted of where they're at with their fitness, and they need a little, let's go back and am I doing the best push-up I ever possibly could? Well, why do I care? Because it could maybe let me do these other things better, and that carry over. It's like a cycle of things. Well, listen, I could talk to you all day. I think I have many times. I really appreciate you sharing. Again, I think you're an inspiration to a lot of just people in general, like guys and girls, specifically with our female population. They're like, Brantlee, I forget sometimes, because I don't always carry it around in my head, but be like, how old is she? And I was like, I forgot. And then like the big 5-0 came, and I was like, oh, right. So I love your content. I love that you're sharing. You're kind of opening up. I think that's important for our community, and we try and share that. Loving you, being a coach here.
Thank you.
And I think you do a great job with that. And what is your Instagram? If somebody wanted to reach out to you, maybe this might inspire a conversation on a more personal level with one of our members. How would they reach out to you?
You can find me at Brantlee J, BRANTLEEJ.
At the IG.
Yeah, at the IG.
Are you on Facebook too?
I am.
Facebook's for boomers.
I linger. I'm a lurker.
Yeah. I like Facebook, and most people make fun of me because of the events.
Oh, yes.
Facebook is great to post
Yep.
an event, and
Yep.
I'm
And
interested.
you go to you like all the events.
For me, they're my social calendar. So I'm like, hey, I don't know, what are we gonna do this weekend? I don't know. I go back and go, oh, this thing is
What's on
happening. I can
Facebook?
remember.
Okay.
Because I don't want to put it in a calendar. You know what I mean? It's
Yep.
just easy for me to
Mhm.
keep track of that kind of stuff, and of course, share events for the gym and things.
Right.
Brantlee, thanks
Okay.
so much.
Thanks, Steve.
Great job in class today.
Thank you.
All right, and CrossFit Westchester, there's Brantlee Underhill.
Cheers.
Bye bye.